Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena in what might be the last historic Brawl video for a while since it's ending in 22 hours. Hopefully it's ending to become permanent. Who knows? Until then, we're going to be playing some historic Brawl though, and we're going to be playing another deck. And I realized this as I was building it. I realized that recently I've been focusing on a lot of decks that make people miserable. Maybe it's because I've been playing the ladder quite a lot, and most of the decks there are designed to make me miserable, so it's maybe a little bit of payback. Who knows? But when I've been playing Standard Brawl, I've been coming up against Narset of the Ancient Way quite a fair bit, and it's a bit of a miserable matchup, so I figured I might port it over into Historic and play around with it a bit in what is essentially draw, go, control. So this is a style of control that hasn't really existed for a little while. Mostly it's proactive stuff. This is going to be a reactive style of deck, so it's going to use counter magic, everyone's favourite. A little bit more than, you know, proactive cards like things ECD, which put a threat on board and then also remove something. Instead, we're going to be reacting, so we're going to have cards that deal with our opponent playing things instead of dealing with the things they've already played. But anyway, let's get on to our commander. Our commander is our win con, as well as just a really nice removal spell and ramp spell and life gain spell. It's a card that does quite a fair bit. Narset the Ancient Way, 1 mana and Jeskai colours for 4 loyalty. The tick up allows you to gain life, add 1 of the Jeskai mana pips, but you can only use that to cast non-creature spells. The -2 allows you to draw a card, and then you can also discard a card from your hand, and if you do, you deal damage to a creature or planeswalker equal to the converted mana cost of that card. It's really nice actually with spell lands, so these ones are lands, but they're also 7-drops, so we can deal 7 damage with a -2. Really nice addition from Zendikar there to really bulk up Narset. It's been a while since I played around with this commander, so I don't think we were playing with her when Zendikar was out, so it's really nice to play around with the, what they called, the double fate DFCs, I think that's what they call them. But yeah, it's really nice to play around with that kind of thing, because before then we were using split cards like Commit to Memory and whatnot, who have the combined mana cost of those cards. But anyway, continuing on. The win con for Narset the Ancient Way is getting an emblem, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, the emblem will deal 2 damage to any target, which basically means once we've got that emblem, which only takes 2 tick-ups and then a minus, once we've got that, all we have to do is play the deck. And, you know, we play the deck for 10 cards. That's probably enough. That's plenty of damage by that point. We have alternative win cons, places to deal extra damage and whatnot, but that's probably ideally what's going to be ending up happening anyway. We're going to be basically shocking anything that we don't like to either stay alive or win the game. There's a couple of really powerful cards. I guess we'll go into those, because we've mentioned that this is a draw-go control kind of deck, so we're going to be drawing our cards, saying go most of the time. We do have a little bit of reactionary and pro-action kind of stuff, because, you know, you need a little bit of a balance between them, but as you can maybe tell by the amount that I'm moving over into this this side here, it's a lot of counter spells to stop our opponent from playing the things that they are playing. So Thassa's Intervention is a modal card. It either lets you draw cards, or it counters unless they pay twice X. Sublime Epiphany counters cards, it counters triggered abilities, it makes copies of zombies and sharks, it draws cards, it bounces, it's very nice. Absorb gains his life and counters spells. Disallow counters spells or activated or triggered abilities, so if an Ulamog comes down, for example, we can counter the exile trigger and then do something like minus Teferi to tuck it back into the deck. Something like that. That's just one example of using it. Dovan's Veto, an uncounterable counterspell for the control matchups. Tail's End, because this is Brawl, so we can counter legendary spells with this one. Again, you can also counter Ulamog's triggered abilities and things like that, but mostly it's in here because it's Brawl and legendary spells are guaranteed. Negate counters non-creatures. Dwari's Disruption is both a land and a censor, countering unless they pay 1. Essence Scatter counters a creature, and Disdainful Stroke counters a spell with converted mana cost 4 or greater. Again, it's Brawl, guaranteed to happen. So the rest of the deck is going to be lots of other burn spells. So we've got Shatter Skull Smashing, Magma Spray, Scorching Dragonfire, Abrade, which is both burn and artifact removal, Bone Crusher Giant, which is a shock and also a threat to beat down with, We got Brazen Borrower, which is a bounce and also a threat to beat down with. And yeah, for the most part, I guess I'll go into the win cons for the deck that are not Narset. We've got a little bit of Inspired Ultimatum to bury our opponent in card advantage, gaining 5, dealing 5, and drawing 5. You know, it might not win the game on its own, but those 5 cards will. We got Shark Typhoon as well, a 6-mana enchantment. We can cycle it for 2 and X to make an XX Shark creature token with flying. Most of the time, you want to be making that token and beating down with it, maybe choosing to use your counter spells to protect the shark. But most of the time, it's going to be a little bit of a beatdown, and you can always hard cast it as well. It's basically a bad metallurgic summonings at that point, making you XX Shark creature tokens with flying, where X is the non-creature spells mana cost that you just cast, which is cool. We actually are going to get to do that at some point today as well, so stay tuned for that. Teferi, everyone's favourite, 5-mana Planeswalker, had to be included in this one. The -8 is the win con here. Whenever you draw a card, you exile a permanent an opponent controls, so you basically stop them from having win cons, lands, anything of that sort. ECD can reanimate both Narset, the Teferi, the other Narset, and the Bone Crusher Giant, giving it a counter or a loyalty counter. The loyalty counter on Narset just means that there's one less tick up to do as well, which is really, really useful. We have some board wipes in Cleansing Nova, Wrath of God, Shatter the Sky, and Settle the Wreckage. Settle, exiling all attacking creatures and giving your opponents basics for the amount of creatures that attacked. Shatter and Wrath destroy cards. Shatter drawing our opponent a card if they had a 4 power or greater creature, but at the cost of a Wrath, it's pretty reasonable. And then finally, Cleansing Nova destroys all creatures, or it could be used to destroy all artifacts and enchantments, because we don't really have any in our deck, and we're certainly not attached to too many. The only one that we'd really care about losing with the Cleansing Nova is Whirlwind of Thought, which draws cards whenever we play non-creature spells, which, if we haven't gathered already at this point, is pretty much our entire deck. It adds draw a card onto all of our spells, so it's an auto-include. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Oh yeah, we also do have Field of the Dead in here, because, you know, greedy mana base and all. If you do enjoy today's gameplay videos, then I would really appreciate if you do hit that like button and subscribe as well for more content like this in the future. And without further ado, let's continue. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alright, we're in, and this hand is pretty keepable. It's missing the blue mana we need for Absorb and Midnight Clock, but we have some early game removal that's exile based as well, which should be pretty reasonable in this matchup. I'm just going to lead with a Field of the Dead. I can't imagine we really find ourselves in a position where Absorb on turn 3 is a realistic possibility anyway. There's an Abrade. Okay, so we'll just play the Mountain and pass. Do we Dragonfire, Gutter Bones? It is one of those cards you want to kind of get rid of, so I suppose maybe we will. Exile that away. Our opponent, by the way, is playing Elenda the Dusk Rose, a 4-mana 1/1 with lifelink. Whenever another creature dies, you put a counter on Elenda, and then when Elenda dies, you create an X 1/1 lifelink vampire creature token with lifelink, where X is Elenda's power. Alright, so we have continued to draw badly, and we have no actual plays to make here, so we'll just move on. Fortunately, we're not under too much pressure, so it's not too much of a big deal. If we draw a blue mana, we can also then Midnight Clock into Search for Azcanta, so it's pretty good there. Alright, well, let's just Lightning Bolt ourselves so that we can play Magic the Gathering. So now we can go Midnight Clock into Search for Azcanta and start building up our graveyard a little bit, progressing our board state, and now we got double blue as well for the Absorb, so short for a Lender opponent missing their land drop. I think that's what they're going to go with, which is not exactly ideal. Conclave Tribunal on Search for Azcanta. That's fine. Honestly, I prefer to have my double blue right now. In the face of, you know, just 2 points of damage Let's go with double white for both the Settle the Wreckage and ECD down the line as well. Let's turn our tracker back on. So if I'd have gone with the red side of the pathway, I'd have been able to go to Narset Town with a Braid backup, but as it stands, I think I'm just going to pass and hold up in the Absorb. I think killing a Lender with an Absorb is pretty important. It'll also undo the combat damage off of the life gain to a certain extent. Not interested in a Settle here. There it is. So let's get rid of a Lender for now, make her cost 6. Yeah, Settle kind of fixes their mana, and for the past couple of turns it's looked as though they might actually miss their fourth land drop. I'm going to keep the Abrade. Okay, well, I can do this, plus this. Plus start ticking up and undo all that life loss. Now I can hold up in the Abrade if I fear for Narset's life here. Like Prankle, for example. It's a very good one to hit. In fact, let's see where they go with their damage, because there's no real attack trigger I don't think we've got to worry about. Let's take Prankle out. Garrison Cats. Hardcast Shark Typhoon's an option. They could have Mortify in their deck, and they probably do as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can hold up in 2 mana with a Narset tick up. I feel like we do just go for the Hardcast Shark Typhoon. It's so very often not the right call to make. But next time I can hold up and Settle the Wreckage, being a one-sided board wipe, and make a 4/4. And if I just went for the Shark here, I'm more likely to just be removed by a single target removal spell, you know? Luminous Broodmoth. Yeah, no? 0 respect for Narset? You gotta go after Narset, because she gains 2 life whenever I tick up. And that's pretty much my only plan. Thassa's Intervention. Alright. So let's see how much our opponent respects Settle the Wreckage. We're so close to a Midnight Clock flip as well now, which is really nice. I reckon they're gonna 0 respect Settle the Wreckage. They certainly want to go after Narset. And I kind of want to cast it before Midnight Clock triggers as well, because otherwise it won't get cast for a start. Which means it'll just get shuffled back in without being used. So yeah, I'm just going to take this. We got a counter unless you pay 2 and a 3/3 Shark from this. So we can pay for a Lender on the counter spell. And then we have a decent attacking force as well. This is definitely respecting Settle the Wreckage, gotta say. But do they respect the counter unless you pay 1? That is the real question. 1 land as well, away from Hidden Stop Alshar. 1 land away from Fiddle of the Dead being active as well, which is nice. It's just going to pass and make a servo. Sure. So, I could flip Midnight Clock myself. I think we hold back, force them to use removal on our 4/4. Let's make some blue mana. Let's make more blue mana. Make a zombie. And do I use this Thassa's Intervention? It'd be 1 blue plus 1, 2 maybe. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm thinking mostly about flipping Midnight Clock on my opponent's turn. I don't think I use it. I think there's some end step shenanigans I might want to counter here rather than use card draw. Because obviously we're going to get our stuff back anyway, right? So I could use this as a X2. That means I get another 4/4. So now they need double removal to take care of Narset, or just, you know, straight up removal. I have the mana to pay for the Midnight Clock to flip it on my opponent's turn if I really want to. Likelihood is that I don't. I want to, like, flip it on my upkeep, maybe. Or float the mana on my upkeep, should I say. But this does mean if our opponent does try to remove Midnight Clock, in response I can flip it, exile it, and get 7 cards. And we'll win at that point, I think. Gonna despark my Shark Typhoon. Sure. Not much I can do about that. And there's the Elender. Alright, well, our opponent's tapped out now, so let's just flip our Midnight Clock, see what we'll find. I know what I said. I ignored it. An ECD is nice. This hand's, in general, pretty bad, though. Did get our Settle the Wreckage back, which is hilarious. Okay. So. From here, we are going to... yeah, pretty much watch our opponent concede the match, because I think the 8 points of Flying Sharks is more than enough to cover this game. Dovin's Veto for the removal / board wipe if they have one. And Elender decks probably do have a board wipe or two, because it's not that much of a big deal to watch your entire board die and then get reanimated in several different ways. So I think the likelihood is that we were going to play an untapped land. We'd have 3, 6, 7, 8 mana there. Maybe go for something like a Shatter Skull Smashing on the Broodmoth, perhaps, or honestly just swing on in and make some zombies. And maybe ECD the Elender or something like that. Who knows? But yeah, it's pretty much the matchup we're looking for, minus maybe not so much the drain trigger side of things, but yeah, creature decks are what we're trying to prey on quite a fair bit, so good to see it. Okay, we're in, and I like this hand actually, mostly because I search for his Canter, so as long as we don't get Thoughtseize, then it should be pretty decent, and even dropping down Narset after that is also pretty good. We are lacking white mana, but now we're not, so we're very good at Magic the Gathering. Our opponent is playing a commander that not too pleased to go up against, but it's not that bad either. It's 5 mana, Nicol Bolas, Dragon God. We will just get down. Let's go with the Glacial Fortress first and play the Search for Canter. Get this down, and the earlier we get it down, likelihood is that we win this game. They've got a Midnight Clock. Nicol Bolas has all loyalty abilities of all Planeswalkers on the battlefield. You get to tick up to draw a card and make me exile a permanent or a card from my hand. So basically, draw 2 cards in a nutshell. -3, destroy a creature or Planeswalker. The -8 wins you the game. Most likely. Because I've got 3 lands already in my hand, I'm just going to start working on my Search for Canter here, and to be honest, I'm wondering whether or not I should go for Narset here, because if I play Narset, it means they can't draw a card off Nicol Bolas and they're forced to minus on it. If they minus on it, then I can drop Narset and kill Bolas. So I think that's probably what I want to do, especially considering this card completely replaces itself. Look at that. I will take a Negate. Negate seems really good in this matchup. Gotta imagine they are, ooh, missing on the turn 5 bolus play there. They might have some Planeswalker removal maybe instead, like Devil. That would also work for me. Yeah, Murderous Rider, there you go. So now it's a question of what we do. We could abrade the Midnight Clock and knock our opponent back a bit. That's creature only, so I'm going to bin that. Disallows, very nice. So I'm thinking abrade with negate backup. Take out the Midnight Clock, pinch their mana. I think all that seems pretty good. We're going to do that right now. It doesn't get much better, I don't think, than hitting a Midnight Clock. I guess it hits the Murderous Rider, but... eh. Yeah, look at that. Nothing they want to do. I'm just going to keep taking all the counter spells. And it's going to be a land and go situation until I flip my Escanter, I think. My hand is perfectly primed for a do-nothing scenario that our opponent is setting up right now. Could counter this. Don't really care to. A 2/2 is not a problem. Not for now, at least. But it does mean that eventually I will have to react to it. In some form or another, but, you know, we have options for that. This one I'm going to graveyard, again to further progress my Search for Escanter, but also because I've got the Seagate Reborn. Could Bolt so I can hold up and double counter, but we have counter plus negate, so no need there. We'll wait until we can maybe Teferi negate if they don't force us to use it early. Yep, sure. Not going to counter a look at 3, pick 2. I don't think we even go for like a settle on this shark. I don't think I want to give my opponent mana. Ooh. Can't be countered. I can tuck it. And I can disallow as well. The tick up trigger. Chandra's really bad for me. So if I was to counter the trigger, I could Teferi tuck with negate backup. Try and find a better answer to Chandra later. Cleansing Nova, I'll dump. Transform. Search for Escanter. Just trying to think. I think I've got a commit to memory in the deck. Oh no, maybe not. Yeah, I would have loved something like ECD, I suppose, which we can dig towards. I'm just going to tuck the Chandra here, because I don't know if the emblems I can really afford to beat. We'll make our land drop. So still holding up that negate. If they've got bolus plus land and negate, then they can fight that back, but otherwise not. That's a target for ECD if we do find it. So they might want to force out my negate now. Solemn, yeah, don't care too much about that. Can settle this, I suppose. They did just shuffle 6-mana Chandra as well. Should be noted. The Murderous Rider, yeah. So I've got, as counter activation, +3, +2. So I've got double counters and settle. And, well, and settle, technically, yeah. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens here. I don't know if I fight over settle. I think I probably do. This just takes all pressure off the board. Nice. And then I've got double counter backup as well, if I need it. Otherwise, we're gonna as counter. Feels like a pretty winnable game, to be honest. Amiria's Call. He's 8 points of damage. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 only lets me hold up and negate though. I might just go for the Maze Mind Tome. Voracious Great Shark. It is a threat and a counterspell, so I don't want either of them to be a thing. I'm gonna hold the Amiria's Call. I think I actually might use it as the spell side. Bedevil. Alright, well. Let's replace that. Get a Midnight Clock. I need the negate for Bolus. So we'll fight over this. They haven't actually countered any of my counters so far, so I don't really expect it to happen this time either. But yeah, they can double spell. And then I can actually Narset minus. Let's go with... I do kind of want basics in my deck. I think it is somewhat relevant. Just get rid of, like, Sulundi Isle, I suppose.
You have no weakness I cannot exploit.
I can Narset minus Narset to draw. And then use Amiria's Call to hit Bolus. No! God damn it! Alright. Blue and... 2, 3... Yeah, pass. We're gonna Azcanta here. I don't think we got any 1-mana spells like Spell Pierce in here. So I don't know if Digging in Response is what we want to do. If they go for the minus, then we've got the Scorching Dragonfire, though. And honestly, fighting over Planeswalkers like this is where we want to be. So let's see if they go for it. So I'm going to go for the Nickel Bolus Draw as a removal. Before they draw and find counter magic, we're just going to get rid of Nicol Bolas now. If we'd have known that we were going to go for that line, then obviously Midnight Clock would have been better. And now they'll want to get rid of a card here so they can kill Narset. It's going to be a Ritual of Soot, which is a good discard for them. Oh, Whirlwind of Thought. I think that means this game's over. Play Midnight Clock, draw a card, Field of the Dead. There's no Field of Ruin over there, so this should be all we need to win now. So we're drawing cards off of all of our cards. We're making a zombie off of all of our lands. We're going to draw 7 soon enough off the Midnight Clock. I think they can replay Bolus here. Yeah. But we can pressure Bolus. This time I probably will get rid of an island. So we've got both of our check lands already in play.
My intellect is without limit.
Let's put a counter on Midnight Clock. Alright, well, we drew terribly. We'll start, I suppose, by attacking Bolus down to 3. Play Planesmaker Zombie, so we can play around conditional counterspells, I suppose. Play a Narset, draw a card. See if we can find something to kill Bolus. That is a 3-mana spell. But I could bounce it and draw a card instead. I'm honestly not against that. Just replace it and then we can shock in Brazen Borrower if they go for the minus with Bolus. Yeah, that's fine. Draw a card. I think the moment that we flipped our Azcanta, we were in a really good spot. Disdainful Stroke is a solid top deck. Counter Bolus, draw a card. Eat to Extinction. So how much do I care about this? I don't think I do, because I have as Canter open and Disdainful Stroke now. So I'll just let them have that, and then they put a Radical Idea in the graveyard. Sweet. Yeah, we just got enough to pressure Bolus here and kill him, so... Making them replay it doesn't really bother me at all. So let's go for it. We can play around a counter unless you pay 2. Force our opponent to have an answer. No counter so far. Don't have the double blue for Brazen Borrower, unfortunately, though. But maybe we can draw... I don't know. I'm not sure what mana we had available as to whether or not we could have held up like Dovin's Veto or something, but... You know, we were live to Tail's Ends and Blink of an Eyes and whatnot. I'm guessing this means they've got the... Yeah, Sublime Epiphany. The Mega counter. What did they actually do with it? Did they just bounce a zombie, counter the spell and draw a card? Had nothing to make a copy of, I suppose. Let's go down the plains. I do want a zombie in play so I can pressure. It's no doubt most of this will be creature removal. There's a land, so we can make a zombie off of that. Let's go after Bolus.
Your assault is insulting.
Make a zombie. This leaves me with 3 mana. We don't have anything guaranteed to discard, so I might actually go for the Azcanter instead. Sublime Epiphany and Shark Typhoon are both really awesome cards. Yeah, we want Sublime Epiphany, for sure. Question is, what do we do with it? Because now our opponent does know about it, of course. I suppose we could upkeep, bounce Bolus, make a copy of... Field of the Dead? Can you do Field of the Dead? It's only creature for the copy. What would they force through if I just countered this right now? I'm not sure I care. So we're going to counter that, we're going to bounce Bolus, create a zombie and draw a card. Which one are you doing right now? Bouncing. Creature you control. Draw a card. Control players upset that they're being controlled. Oh, the sadness. Okay. We saw them get rid of Ritual Set already, so they need like Cry of the Carnarium or Shadow of Doubt or Extinction Event, I suppose, also works. Now we're even. Draw a card. I think I'll get rid of Farmland here. Because the Arcane Signet's a redraw. We have a probably better chance of drawing a land anyway than a non-creature. There goes the Midnight Clock. That sucks a little bit. Had a lot riding on that. To a certain extent, I suppose. Oh, and Angrath? It's your go, opponent. You're doing so badly.
No fire, no steel.
Field of Ruin. It's 2 zombies. To answer these guys, we need pretty much just ECD. Annoyingly. Wrath of God is not the card we are looking for. Let's go after Castle Lochthwain. We're out of basics. Oh dear. I could have probably checked. Where's the fun in that? Alright, so we're going empty-handed. Opponent should go Angrath first, unless they're planning on stealing my token. Which wouldn't necessarily be a good idea. Because this actually just means that I get rid of this card in my hand, which Angrath was going to do anyway, right? So they should go Angrath first to discard, and then Bolus forces me to get rid of a permanent instead. It's a sequencing error for our opponent. I do think that they're probably, at this stage, spookily going to win. Because I don't have a way of shuffling my graveyard back in.
No fire, no
And double Planeswalker threat is a little bit troubling. Triple Planeswalker threat is extremely troubling. It's hard to see how you win from this when these three cards are a creature removal. We'll get rid of this one right here. Yeah, this is going to be a womp womp, I think. I needed ECD, needed my counter spells. It's annoying as well, because their deck is not necessarily set up to beat mine. Mine is set up to mostly beat theirs, and also mostly beat creatures, so it kind of straggles the lines between the two of creature-based control and counter-based control. Wow. Now that's a top deck, he said sarcastically, wondering where it all went wrong. This has to be an ECD now. We've gone so far in the deck. It is not. Okay. So let's go after, I guess, Spark Double Bolus. It doesn't really matter either way, right? Ugh, God. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. They're now in perfect draw territory. They had some bad draws earlier, and, you know, when it comes to Mana Screw and Mana Flood and bad draws and good draws, once you get through that slump, then you end up in the territory of all your draws being suddenly good. You just have to survive that early game issue. And there's just no hope for us from here, so we're just going to move on to the next game. Alright then, we're in, and this hand is pretty good. It's made only worse by being on the draw, but we do have a Censor, we have a Disdainful Stroke for our opponent's commander, Settle the Wreckage. It's all pretty good. This should be a pretty good matchup. The only reason why it wouldn't be would be maybe a cheeky, like, Agent of Treachery when I'm not expecting it, or something of a similar note. Uncounterable creatures, you know the drill. We do have all of our fast lands on time, which is nice. So we're going to hold up our Jwari's Disruption. Hopefully we can hit a 4-drop here. Our counters are a little bit awkward because they both basically achieve the same thing, countering 4-drops. But a 3-drop would get right past us in both cases. So we are going to straight up just get rid of Goreclaw there. It's not really too much of a question, really. And we'll hold up in Disdainful Stroke for another 4-drop or higher with the Cycling Illumination here. I think you do want to cycle the Illumination, most of all. Fibble Thip, yep. Got Settle the Wreckage for that. Not that we'd necessarily want to, but, you know. Gonna have to get rid of it somehow, right? 3 mana into a Neoform. Opponent's playing with fire with that Neoform. Do I cycle the Illumination to try and find a counter spell? There aren't that many. Because I do kind of want to go for Salundi Vision instead. So we'll just see what this is. We can always Narset minus on it. And then if our opponent misses their land drop, Incubation Druid can't really do anything to stop us. Alright, oop. So let's go Salundi Vision. Let's just assume the left-hand card is the one we would have drawn, because I don't really know what it would have been. It would have been a Bone Crusher Giant there, I guess. Which one do we want? It's hard to say. Let's go with a Zorb, and then we can, like, play these planes. They know we're running Absorb, but we can also maybe get them with a Settle the Wreckage or something like that. What about a Disdainful Stroke Maze Mine Tome? I actually kind of like that. We should be working on progressing our board. Our opponent now knows that we've dropped Absorb, so they might want to go and play their big boy while we're tapped out. And that's when we'll get them with a Disdainful Stroke. Biogenic Ooze, yep. Case in point. And we'll hit the Scry on this Maze Mine Tome. Temple of Mystery, no. We've already got a land drop. And, you know, there's always a chance of more land drops. Let's play our Arch. Let's pass the turn. Slow and steady wins the race. Take 2. Hold up the Absorb while also redrawing counterspells. Keep their commander out of play. Inspired Ultimatum is nice. Let's go for another Scry. Yeah, we want something like an Essence Scatter here for sure. I think the big scary thing is, like, we've got the answer to, like, Finale of Devastation, but we could also nicely answer other nastier things. So let's go with a Castle Ardenvale. This is not a Narset board state. It could be a Settle the Wreckage board state. It is not. I'm going to draw a card. Just in case we find something like Magma Spray. Really nice hit, and now we've got Absorb plus Essence Scatter open. The cards are really aligning for us here, and yeah, we certainly don't want that around because we can't interact with it with a Settle the Wreckage. Opponent could have counter spells of their own, I suppose. Cavalier of Gales, sure. So, they've done the right thing to play against us. They've played a threat and then had a follow-up threat after we go for the counterspell. Pretty good one at that as well. Let's see. Red, red, red. White, white. We are missing our mana here for the Inspired Ultimatum, which I do want to work on casting at some point. I think I'm just going to go with the Hallowed Fountain tapped, yeah, because we can do draw plus Settle the Wreckage here. I kind of feel like we want to get them with this, but at the same time, not getting both creatures here kind of sucks. So I'll take the 5 for now, since we're going to gain 4 off the Maze Mine Tome. Brazen Borrower. It's not worth bouncing Cavalier because of the ETB. And there's Vanifar. This is tough. I think we want to go for the Absorb. It's honestly hard to say. whether or not that's correct. Spark double, oof. Alright. This is where things get a wee bit sketchy. We can potentially force our opponent into a more settleable situation, maybe, with... Oh, that's pretty good. By playing Narset. Narset kind of forces them to attack in more aggressively. Doesn't mean I can't hold up and Sublime Epiphany, which is 3/6, but we can't really do with that, except for maybe Brazen Borrower Sublime Epiphany. And I don't really like the state of this board right now. This leaves me with 1 mana. Honestly, don't know what you do here. You just pass. I really need that settle to go well here. Oh, they're playing around settle for sure. Totally fine. We can get some Sublime Epiphany value here. We can do a bounce, counter, and draw. So counter, bounce, draw. We will bounce, I guess, the OG and draw. Field of the Dead's nice. Gives us a clock. Do have Dungeon Geists, sure. And then do we go with the Brazen Borrower? I'm not sure if we do. Actually, if we go with Brazen Borrower, this is 5 damage. Bounce Cavalier. And then go for an Inspired Ultimatum, maybe? Oh yeah, can't use any of my colours, of course. Gain 5 life, 5 damage to the Incubation Druid. Got a negate now. And a blink of an eye. Even in a farmland cycle as well. Not a very good hand for us. But we can work with this. Like, if they go with Spark Double first, we can just blink and kill Spark Double. Got Eternal Ronus. Sure. That's bait. I will refuse to take 6. A Marrowleaf Pixie. I am struggling quite a fair bit with good draws here.
Let me demonstrate the prowess of my ancestors.
2, 3, 4. I can do not much, to be honest. I kind of want to work towards the emblem because it feels like that's the way I'm going to win this one. And then hold up and settle the wreckage for their attack at Narset. Because right now I can only really play Narset with 3 mana open, and that's not really what I want to do. So I think we'll just pass and not use the mana here. At this point, I think we're heavily telegraphing that we have settled the wreckage. But maybe it's a so be it kind of situation. Dungeon Geists, yeah. Do they dare avoid that 10 points? They don't. So they get settled. Now Narset's a turn away from ultimating. It's a disallow.
Let me help you practice.
Let's add some white. Play Amiria's Call. Play Field of Ruin, make a zombie. And then this gives us a blocking board to ult our Narset and work on our opponent. Kogler. Yeah, I think so. Could be another bait play, but we have the negate. Yeah. So they need a creature-based answer to Narset there, which, like, the only thing I can really think of there is maybe Questing Beast, and we can block with an Angel token, so we don't have to worry about that. So it's block with an Angel token on Questing Beast, 4/4 blocks the 3/3, Zombie blocks the Ronus, tapped out, we ult, every spell, hits them for 2 now, and then we just have to play 10 spells without dying, which is doable, because we got, like, Narset, Ping. Is it actually non-creature? It's non-creature, so we counter Ping, you know the idea. And if they don't make us use a negate, we'll cycle this farmland, or maybe even make a zombie out of it. We've got the Field of Ruin making a zombie, Arch drawing us cards, and Ardenvale making us 1/1s. I feel like we're pretty much a shoo-in to win that one, I suppose. Really good opponent. They played around our counter spells really well, and most of our plays, you know, respected Settle the Wreckage. You know the drill. We honestly could have lost that one quite easily, I think, if our opponent was also running counter magic or uncounterable things, because really the only thing we can do about uncounterable things is wrath them when they come down or settle them when they go for an attack, for example. And I think our opponent had those things on their mind a lot of the time, so yeah, that one, this matchup could have gone either way, honestly. Thankfully, no Agents of Treacheries. Our opponent maybe has some style, who knows, but Neoform Kogler makes Agent of Treachery, so who knows. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you've enjoyed. If you have, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe as well for more Brawl content in the future. I'm going to make an attempt to get another Brawl video out, probably for next week, since it's ending so soon. I've got to space them out, you know? Since I have no idea if Arena's going to have permanent Brawl. I really don't know. So time will tell, but I'll stockpile some historic Brawl content on the off chance that it doesn't, I suppose, and then post it if we get some random news about it being permanent. But yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have a good night. Take care.